Hi, welcome back to the Spirit's Path. This is Dee, and today's tarot card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck is Seven of Arrows in Insecurity. And this has troubled me all day long because I was like, when we saw this about 10 days ago, I was like, get off the rock, right? And, we had a lot of things that we were dealing with. And now this comes right back up after having almost a positive week. And, the Queen of Stones showed up yesterday, that bear in that protective form, just trying to, show you that, to take on that protection of the bear, to, bring others, into the cave, right? And work as more of a, that queen aspect here. And, life can be scary. And with that, there's a lot of fear and confusion, and that leads to instability and panic. So, once again, you're up here on this rock, okay? And arrows is all about a mental capacity, mental makeup, right? And it's all about thought patterns and everything like that. So, in order to get back to where you were, which is, where I feel you've been going here, you need... What's happening is, to me, we're just getting too much in our head. We're overthinking things, okay? Instead of just letting things come naturally, instead of just being disciplined and having that emotional security in our path moving forward, whether that's in a relationship, whether that's in a career path, whether that's in, our stability with finances or whatnot, okay? We can't let those arrows, those thoughts, punctuate our presence and get us out of, happiness and joy, right? And we can't let those arrows, hit us to fuel our fears. Like I said 10 days ago, the best way to get around this, okay, is action. Get off the rock that she's standing on. All right? Get away from those vines that are trying to entangle you. Get away from that thought process of, the what ifs and the woe is me, right? And because what that does is that just leads to more confusion, more instability, more self-destruction. It brings down your vibrational level, okay? It doesn't, fear is false evidence appearing real. And we don't need that confusion in our life as we're going forward with our plans. Okay. Now, a piece of that is too, if you're constantly worrying about, your different things of what's going on, it's almost like you put that straitjacket on and you can't do anything. And the way, again, the way to get around that is to, get some action going, okay? Come up with a game plan. Change those thoughts into woe is me and oh my gosh, I'm fearful of this, into here's the plan of moving forward. Here's the plan of, getting better stability. Here's the plan of finding that special someone. Here's the plan on working on emotional security. And I know it sounds easy to just go ahead and talk about stuff, okay? But whether or not we know it or not, we're responsible for our own fears. When with that being said, we're also responsible for our own happiness. So the two go hand in hand. And you have to learn from the past in order to live in the present and plan for the future. Now, I've told you the mantras before that, control what the first thing is you need to take care of yourself. Because if you can't take care of yourself, all right, you can't take care of anybody else. And that means health-wise, that means mental-wise, that means in all aspects of your life. All right? Rule number one, take care of number one. Then control what you can control. If you're going to work and you're hearing rumors about, layoffs and, hey, we're going to get sold, things of that nature, that's out of your control. But what can you control? Well, you can update your resume. You can start networking on, some of the networking sites for jobs and stuff like that. That's something you can control. Okay? In a relationship, you can't control what the other person's doing. Your significant other, if they're overspending and you're both in the same budget, you can have that conversation. That's what you can control. You can bring up the bills and say, hey, look, this is what we're doing on this credit card. We need to slow down. And have that conversation of, pulling back. That's where you can control that outcome. Okay, but you can't control the person, hey, I'm going to go out, and have, go outside and do some raking or something like that. You can't control that aspect of it, so don't even try. But you can continually have those conversations, around love and happiness, and not have to worry about the fear conversations of, is he coming home tonight? Is she coming home tonight? You don't have to worry about that, okay? Are they going to reach out to me? Don't worry about it. If they want to reach out to you, they'll reach out to you. And in the creative process of this, the thought process, which is the arrows of thoughts, you get further with positive thoughts than you do with negative thoughts. Negative thoughts just bring you down. Negative thoughts just hold you in place. That's why the vines are wrapped around her legs, right? She doesn't know how to get out of this situation. I can tell you right now, you're smarter than that. You know how to get out of the situation. You know how to move forward. It's whether or not you want to. Is it a want or a need? I can tell you right now, I'm getting down. I'm getting down off that rock. I'm getting away from those arrows. Those arrows hurt. Hurtful feelings, hurtful sayings. People talking to you and saying you can't do this or that's a bad idea. The critic that comes out, when you hear something. Don't let it hold you back. Look at that as an advantage of saying, okay, I can use this as an advantage in building my relationship. I can use this as an advantage in moving forward in my career. When the boss says, hey, you're not good enough, you need to work on that. Yeah, it hurts because, you put in all this hard work. He's not looking at the hard work. He's looking at the skill set in order to, put you to the next step. Take the criticism that comes through and say, you know what? It's truthful. That does hurt. But I'm going to apply these practices into making something better. So I don't have to stand on this rock. So I don't have to accept these arrows. So I don't have to do the woe is me. Because that's all low vibrational energy. What you want is that law of attraction. You want that spark, okay, in that thought process to raise you up, to move you forward. Hey, I got a great idea. Okay. I was thinking about this, and you explain it to your boss, and your boss is like, yeah, I've thought about that. And let's, what would you think, we can move something. Now all of a sudden you've got the energy. Now all of a sudden you've got the passion. And now you can move forward. You can move forward down off of that rock. The thought process raises your vibrational energy when it's positive. The thought process, okay, of moving forward, coming up with a plan and saying this is how I'm going to enact it starting tomorrow, get you down off of this rock. And when you do all those things and you raise that vibrational level, you got the Queen of Stones right there behind you saying, that's great. I've got you protected. Gives you a little hug. Get back to the dancing in that Five of Vessels ecstasy. Maybe you did have a good cry with that Knight of Vessels and that eel. Okay, but you have that breath of life, that new thought process of moving forward. So do so. Do so with a positive energy. Do so with a positive spirit. Ask your ancestors and your guided ones to help raise that vibrational level to where you're making a difference, to where you're getting down off of that rock and doing something that aligns with your life purpose. So that's today's card of the day, the Seven of Arrows and Insecurity. Hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others. Give me a thumbs up. And this is D for a Spirit's Path. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. God bless. Stay safe, everybody.